The ticking clock echoed through Skylar's cozy living room as she engrossed herself in a book, unaware of the storm brewing on the horizon. The front door swung open, disrupting the tranquil afternoon. In walked Daniel, her husband, with an unfamiliar woman at his side. Skylar looked up, her expression shifting from curiosity to bewilderment. "Daniel, who is this?" she asked, her voice carrying a tone of both surprise and concern. A sharply dressed woman in her late 30s shot Skylar a condescending look before turning to Daniel. "You didn't tell her. I thought we were here for a discussion." Daniel avoided Skylar's gaze, his discomfort palpable. "Skylar, this is Skylar. She's a lawyer, and we have something serious to discuss." Skylar rose from the plush couch, her book forgotten on the coffee table. "A lawyer? What's going on?" Her mind raced with possibilities, none of them pleasant. Skylar wasted no time, thrusting a document towards Skylar. "You're Skylar, right? I'm demanding a compensation of $30,000 from you. You've been involved in theft to serve your lover, haven't you?" Skylar's eyes widened in disbelief. "Theft? Lover? What are you talking about?" She scanned the document, her heart pounding. Skylar's twisted smile grew wider. "Don't play dumb. We have photographic evidence." She presented a photo that showed Skylar entering a hotel with a man. Skylar's shock turned into a mix of confusion and anger. "This is absurd. I have no idea what you're talking about." Daniel stepped forward, a smug look on his face. "Skylar, this lady here is a very skilled lawyer. No matter how much you deny it, it's futile. She has proof." Skylar shot a glare at Daniel. "A lawyer? And what do you have to say for yourself, Daniel?" He hesitated before speaking. "Skylar, she has evidence. Maybe we should listen." Skylar's frustration boiled over. "Evidence? Daniel, you know me. I haven't done anything wrong." She turned to Skylar. "And who are you, really?" Skylar, maintaining her air of superiority, raised an eyebrow. "I'm Skylar Anderson, a lawyer. Ever heard of the Anderson Law Office?" Skylar's confusion deepened. "Anderson Law Office? That can't be right." The tension in the living room escalated as accusations hung in the air, and Skylar braced herself for the storm that was only just beginning. The living room tension thickened as Skylar confronted the self-proclaimed Skylar Anderson, her alleged infidelity laid bare in the photograph Skylar presented. Determined to unravel the truth, Skylar decided to make her stand. "You claim to be Skylar Anderson, a lawyer," Skylar said, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding. "Well, I'm Skylar, and I'm a lawyer too." She retrieved her wallet, pulling out her business card with the name Skylar Johnson, attorney at law. Skylar's smug expression wavered as she glanced between Skylar's card and her own. Daniel shifted uncomfortably, realizing the gravity of the situation. Two lawyers with the same name. What are the odds? Skylar remarked, attempting to regain control. Skylar arched an eyebrow. "I don't believe in coincidences, especially not ones involving my name and a false accusation." "Who are you really?" Daniel interjected, trying to diffuse the tension. "Look, Skylar, she has proof. We need to listen to what she has to say." Skylar shot him a stern look. "And you believed her without even talking to me first? What kind of marriage is this?" Skylar, sensing an opportunity to regain control, presented her own business card again. "Skylar, this is a misunderstanding. I am Skylar Anderson, a lawyer from the renowned Anderson Law Office. Perhaps you've heard of it." Skylar's skepticism deepened. "No, I haven't heard of it. And I don't believe you're a lawyer." Lawyers know about legal procedures, registration numbers, and training sessions. Let's see if you can answer those questions. Skylar's confident facade began to crumble as Skylar fired off questions about the legal profession. Skylar's own legal expertise became evident, exposing Skylar's lack of knowledge. The living room became a battlefield of words, with Skylar determined to unravel the truth. You claim to be a lawyer, but you can't answer basic questions. You're a fraud, Skylar declared, her eyes narrowing at Skylar. Skylar stammered, attempting to salvage the situation. This is ridiculous. I am Skylar Anderson. You're just trying to avoid the truth. Skylar, undeterred, looked at Daniel. Your accomplice here is no lawyer. She's a fake, and you've dragged us into this mess. We need to sort this out. As Chapter 2 unfolded, Skylar's revelation not only exposed the impostor, but also set the stage for a deeper unraveling of the deceit that had entangled her marriage. The battle for truth had just begun. The living room became a battleground of doubt and scrutiny as Skylar continued to press Skylar on her supposed identity as Skylar Anderson. Skylar's questions aimed at unraveling the layers of deception intensified, casting a shadow over the authenticity of the accusations. Skylar, with a determined gaze, pointed at Skylar's badge. If you're a real lawyer, there should be a registration number on that badge. Can you provide it? Skylar fumbled with her badge, avoiding Skylar's eyes. Well, you see, it's not common to memorize the registration number. I have it written down somewhere. Just a moment. Skylar crossed her arms, skepticism etched across her face. A real lawyer would have that information readily available. You're avoiding the question. Daniel, sensing the crumbling facade, attempted to intervene. Skylar, maybe we should hear her out. She might have an explanation. Skylar shot him a sharp look. I will hear her out, but not until she answers the basic questions any lawyer should know. Skylar, visibly distressed, finally admitted, I don't use it often, so I've forgotten. But that doesn't mean I'm not a real lawyer. Skylar's eyes narrowed. A lawyer who forgets their registration number is like a doctor forgetting their medical license. It doesn't happen. Now, what about your training session? Every lawyer goes through the Judicial Training Institute. Tell me about yours. Skylar hesitated, glancing nervously between Skylar and Daniel. What's that? I don't think I've heard of it. Skylar folded her arms, unimpressed. The Judicial Training Institute is where lawyers, prosecutors, and judges undergo training. It's basic knowledge for anyone in the legal profession. Are you telling me you skipped that part? Skylar's attempt to mask her lack of knowledge fell apart, leaving her grasping for words. I didn't think it was that important. Skylar leaned in, her tone unwavering. It's crucial, and your ignorance speaks volumes. Passing the bar exam doesn't instantly make you a lawyer. You must undergo training. Did you even license yourself, and when? Skylar stumbled over her words. It was 16? No, 19 years ago, I think. Skylar's eyebrows shot up. You think? A real lawyer would know exactly when they were licensed. You're not fooling anyone. The room filled with tension as Skylar, armed with legal knowledge, dismantled Skylar's claims piece by piece. The doubt that had crept into Skylar's mind solidified into a certainty that Skylar was nothing more than an imposter, using her alleged legal expertise for deception. The battle for truth continued, with Skylar unyielding in her pursuit of justice. With the doubt surrounding Skylar's claims mounting, Skylar decided it was time to bring the authorities into the unfolding drama. The atmosphere in the living room became charged with tension as Skylar reached for her phone, her fingers hovering over the screen. Skylar's voice remained resolute as she dialed the emergency number. I need to report a case of unauthorized practice of law and fraud. Send someone immediately. Skylar, realizing the gravity of the situation, protested, Wait, what are you doing? Stop, please. Hang up that phone right now. Skylar ignored Skylar's desperate pleas, maintaining her call to the authorities. I have people here who need to be arrested for unauthorized practice of law and fraud. Yes, it's urgent. Daniel, his agitation growing, tried to grab the phone from Skylar. Skylar, think about this. We can talk to her, sort things out without involving the police. Skylar skillfully dodged his attempts, her determination unwavering. Talking won't change the fact that she's posing as a lawyer, and you, Daniel, have been part of this deception. I won't let it slide. As Skylar provided the address to the dispatcher, Skylar sank to her knees, realizing the severity of the situation. Please, stop. I beg you. It was just a momentary lapse. I won't do it again. Skylar, unyielding, continued the call. This is a serious matter, and it needs to be dealt with. I won't let someone use the law for their personal gain. The distant wailing of sirens grew louder, signaling the imminent arrival of the police. Skylar's facade crumbled as she desperately clutched at straws to avoid the impending consequences. The police entered the living room, ready to assess the situation. Skylar recounted the events, exposing Skylar's deception and her husband's involvement. As the handcuffs clicked into place, Skylar and Daniel were escorted away, their protests fading into the night. The weight of the situation settled on Skylar's shoulders, and she took a moment to gather herself. She turned to the police officers and nodded appreciatively. Thank you for coming. I want justice to be served. One of the officers replied, We'll take it from here, ma'am. If you have any additional information, feel free to contact us. As the police led Skylar and Daniel away, Skylar couldn't help but feel a mix of relief and sadness. The trust she had placed in her marriage had crumbled, and the path to justice had been a tumultuous one. Little did she know that this was just the beginning of a journey that would reshape her life and perceptions. With Skylar and Daniel led away by the police, the aftermath of the dramatic confrontation left Skylar standing alone in the now quiet living room. Emotions swirled within her, a mix of betrayal, anger, and a determination to move forward. The unraveling of her marriage was inevitable, and Skylar grappled with the weight of the decisions she had to make. Skylar took a deep breath, steeling herself for what lay ahead. I can't believe it's come to this, she muttered to herself, eyeing the empty space where just moments ago her world had been turned upside down. The next day, Skylar sat across from Daniel, the sterile atmosphere of the lawyer's office accentuating the emotional distance between them. The divorce proceedings had begun, and Skylar couldn't fathom how the person she had once trusted had played a role in such a deceitful scheme. Daniel, looking remorseful, attempted to speak. Skylar, can we talk about this? Maybe we can find a way to work things out without going through with the divorce. Skylar's gaze remained firm. Daniel, trust is the foundation of any relationship. Yours has crumbled, and there's no going back. We need to face the consequences of our actions. As the legalities unfolded, Skylar asserted herself, determined to protect her interests and move forward independently. The lawyer facilitated the discussions, but Skylar's resolve was unwavering. In the midst of negotiations, Daniel made a desperate plea. Skylar, I regret what happened. Can't we find a way to forgive and forget? We've been through so much together. Skylar, eyes fixed on the legal documents, responded with a cold certainty. The trust is gone, Daniel. We can't erase the past. I need to rebuild my life, and that means moving on without you. The divorce proceedings became a symbol of closure for Skylar. She negotiated property division, financial matters, and the dissolution of their marriage. As the ink dried on the divorce papers, Skylar felt a mix of liberation and sorrow. As she left the lawyer's office, Skylar realized that the decisions she made in those sterile walls would shape the trajectory of her life. The betrayal had severed the ties that bound her to Daniel, but Skylar was determined to emerge stronger from the wreckage. As Skylar stepped out into the sunlight, a new chapter awaited, one of self-discovery, resilience, and the rebuilding of a life fractured by deceit. The decisions made in that lawyer's office marked the beginning of Skylar's journey towards healing and a future untainted by the shadows of her past. After the tumultuous events of the divorce proceedings, Skylar found herself seeking solace in the quiet moments of solitude. Her once vibrant home now echoed with the emptiness of shattered trust and broken promises. As she navigated the debris of her marriage, Skylar delved into introspection, trying to make sense of the fragments left behind. In the weeks that followed, Skylar withdrew from the chaos of the outside world, immersing herself in her own thoughts. The emotional toll of betrayal lingered, but within the solitude, she found moments of clarity and self-discovery. Skylar sat in her dimly lit living room, a cup of tea in hand, the warmth barely offsetting the chill of solitude. Her gaze wandered to a wedding photo on the wall, a snapshot of a time when promises were made in earnest. A phone call interrupted the stillness, breaking Skylar's contemplation. She hesitated before answering, recognizing the voice on the other end. "Hey, Skylar. It's Sarah, your friend from college. I heard about what happened. Are you okay?" Skylar took a moment before responding, her voice tinged with both sadness and resilience. "I'm getting there, Sarah. It's been a rough ride, but I appreciate your concern." Sarah's voice softened. "If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. You don't have to go through this alone." Skylar, grateful for the support, managed a small smile. "Thank you, Sarah. I'll keep that in mind." The days passed with Skylar grappling with the echoes of her past. She revisited the places that held memories, both sweet and bitter, hoping to find closure. One evening, she sat on the bench in the park where she and Daniel had once shared laughter and dreams. A familiar voice interrupted her reverie. "Skylar?" Startled, Skylar turned to find her neighbor, Mrs. Johnson, offering a sympathetic smile. "I heard about what happened. If you ever need someone to talk to, I'm here." Skylar nodded, touched by the genuine concern. "Thank you, Mrs. Johnson. It means a lot." As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the park, Skylar found solace in the simple gestures of kindness. In solitude, she unearthed a strength she hadn't known existed, a resilience born from facing adversity head-on. Late one evening, Skylar revisited the living room, the place where accusations had flown, truths revealed, and a marriage dismantled. She faced the remnants of her past, determined to forge a future free from the shackles of betrayal. The phone buzzed with a message. It was from Skylar, a friend and colleague from the legal community. "Skylar, I heard about the ordeal. If you're up for it, let's grab coffee. I could use a friend, and it seems like you could too." Skylar, contemplating the invitation, replied, "Coffee sounds good. Let's catch up." In the quiet corners of solitude, Skylar began to weave the threads of her life back together. The reflections in those moments illuminated the strength within her, a strength that would guide her toward healing and the promise of a new beginning. With each passing day, Skylar felt the weight of the past lifting, replaced by a growing sense of resilience and the promise of a new beginning. The scars of betrayal were healing, and she realized that moving forward was not just an option but a necessity. Skylar stood in front of the mirror, her reflection revealing a woman transformed by the trials of the recent past. As she adjusted her earrings, she heard a knock at the door. Opening it, she found Skylar, her friend and colleague from the legal community, standing there with a warm smile. "Skylar, I'm glad you agreed to meet up. How have you been holding up?" Skylar asked, concern etched on her face. Skylar returned the smile, appreciating the genuine camaraderie. It's been a journey, Skylar, but I'm finding my way back. Thanks for reaching out. Over cups of coffee at a nearby cafe, Skylar and Skylar delved into their own experiences, sharing stories of triumphs and tribulations in the legal world. Skylar listened intently as Skylar recounted the events that had unfolded in her personal life. Skylar leaned forward, offering words of encouragement. Skylar, you're resilient. It takes strength to face such challenges and keep moving forward. If there's anything I can do to support you, just let me know. Skylar, grateful for the support, nodded. Thanks, Skylar. It means a lot to have friends who understand. As the weeks passed, Skylar immersed herself in work and personal growth. She attended legal conferences, rekindling her passion for the profession. The once daunting prospect of facing the legal community transformed into an opportunity for Skylar to rebuild her professional identity. One day, as she browsed through a bookstore, Skylar received a call. It was Sarah, her college friend. Skylar, I've been thinking. How about a weekend getaway? A change of scenery might do wonders for your spirit, Sarah suggested. Skylar, appreciative of the gesture, considered the idea. That sounds like a plan, Sarah. A break from routine could be just what I need. The weekend getaway became a catalyst for Skylar's rejuvenation. Surrounded by nature and the support of a friend, she felt a sense of liberation from the shadows of her past. Upon her return, Skylar made a conscious decision to redefine her life. She joined a local gym, started attending art classes, and began building new connections within her community. The once familiar places became canvases for her personal growth. One evening, as Skylar sat on her favorite bench in the park, she reflected on the transformative journey she had embarked upon. The scars of betrayal were still visible, but they no longer defined her. A familiar voice interrupted her thoughts. It was Skylar who tracked her down in the park. Skylar, I was passing by and thought I'd join you. How are you holding up? Skylar smiled, appreciating the genuine friendship that had blossomed. I'm doing well, Skylar. Moving forward is a process, but I'm embracing it. Skylar nodded, understanding the sentiment. Remember, Skylar, you have a network of friends who support you. And whenever you need a sounding board or a coffee buddy, count me in. As Skylar watched the sunset, she felt a renewed sense of hope. The wounds of the past were healing, and the horizon held the promise of a future shaped by resilience, self-discovery, and the enduring strength of moving forward.